When we think about the fall of Rome, the same images usually come to mind. Barbarians at the gates, collapsing legions, palace intrigues, poisoned emperors. But the truth is, empires rarely fall in a single dramatic moment. They rot from within first. And one of the quietest yet most destructive causes of that decay is almost always money. Rome, in fact, lost long before the sword it lost through money. For centuries, the backbone of the Roman economy was the silver denarius. First minted around 211 BC, it was made of nearly pure silver. Everyone trusted it. Soldiers were paid with it, merchants traded with it, and ordinary people stored their savings in it. The denarius was more than just a coin. It was trust in physical form. As long as people believed in Rome, they believed in its money. But there was a costly side to this. Running a vast empire was expensive. Armies, roads, aqueducts, endless wars. By the 2nd century AD, Rome was under pressure from every direction. Its borders were threatened, rebellions were frequent, and money was running short. Raising taxes angered the population, so emperors chose what seemed like an easier path. They tampered with the currency. The silver content of the denarius was gradually reduced. Under Augustus, the coin was nearly 95% silver. Later, it dropped to around 50%. Eventually, it fell to less than 5%. From the outside, it looked like the same coin, but in your hand, something felt wrong. People noticed, and once trust began to crack, everything followed. Prices exploded. Wheat that once cost a single denarius soon cost dozens. Soldiers demanded higher pay, saying, "We can't live on this." Merchants began refusing the coins altogether. "Pay in gold or barter," they said. When money stopped working, people went back to trading goods for goods. The economy moved backward. Worse still, instead of fixing the problem, the state printed even more money. They believed that if they produced enough, it would solve everything. Didn't. It only poured fuel on the fire. As trust declined, money lost value. As money lost value, trust declined even further. Perfect vicious cycle. This process reached its breaking point during what history calls the crisis of the 3rd century. For nearly 50 years, Rome was consumed by chaos. Invasions, plagues, civil wars, and economic collapse. Emperors rose and fell in a matter of months, often murdered shortly after taking power. But the real problem lay beneath the surface. Money was no longer money. Taxes couldn't be collected. Farmers abandoned their land, and trade ground to a halt. At one point, Emperor Diocletian said, "Enough," and tried to fix prices by law. "Bread cannot be sold above this price," he declared. Violators faced death. The result was a disaster. You cannot control prices with worthless money. The black market exploded. Official trade nearly disappeared, and people learned a hard truth. Laws cannot repair broken money. Eventually, Rome abandoned the denarius altogether. Constantine the Great introduced the solidus, a coin made of pure gold. It worked for centuries in the Eastern Roman Empire. But for the Western Empire, it was already too late. The economic core had been hollowed out. There was no money to sustain the army, no trade, no trust. When the barbarians finally arrived, the gates had already rotted from the inside. So why does this story matter? Because it isn't just Rome's story. Whenever money loses its value, ordinary people pay the price. Governments deny it, saying, "Everything is under control." But in real life, purchasing power evaporates and lifetime savings disappear. The Romans made the same mistake. They believed their empire would last forever. Then came Germany. After World War I, the government printed money to pay its debts. The result was the hyperinflation of 1923. People carried their wages home in wheelbarrows. A lifetime of savings vanished overnight. Debtors were rescued while those who held real assets grew stronger. Society sank into despair, creating the conditions that allowed Hitler to rise. The same thing happened in Zimbabwe. Money was printed, inflation spiraled out of control, and eventually the country abandoned its currency altogether. People were forced to live using foreign money. If you think these are extreme examples, look at today. In 1971, the US dollar was cut loose from gold. Since then, money has relied purely on trust. And ever since, its value has slowly but steadily eroded. The bills in your wallet look the same, but they buy less and less. That's the difference. Governments call this by different names: growth, stimulus, investment. But in reality, it's simple. More money is created, and each unit is worth less. The wealthy protect themselves with houses, land, and businesses. Those who live on wages become a little poorer every year. The real danger is this: today the system is global. Everyone is in debt. Everyone prints money. The next crisis won't hit just one country. It will hit everyone. And, as always, the heaviest burden will fall on ordinary people who carry the system on their backs. So the lesson from Rome is clear. Inflation is not an accident. It is a choice, a silent tax. Real wealth isn't found in paper, but in things that endure: knowledge, skills, production, and tangible assets. And no system lasts forever. Romans could never have imagined their money becoming worthless. Germans in 1913 couldn't either. Neither could Zimbabweans. But they all lived through it. Rome teaches us this. When money breaks, society breaks with it. Promises fail, trade collapses, and governments lose legitimacy. The barbarians may knock on the door, but what lets them in is the decay already inside. History doesn't repeat itself exactly, but the lesson is always the same. Ignore it and you will pay the price.